Ludicrous Feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's video where we'll be checking out the BX variant of the Chery Omoda E5 all-electric vehicle here in Sydney, Australia. We'll be doing a walk around of the exterior and also a walkthrough of the interior, including the infotainment system. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's start with an exterior walk around, and looks are of course subjective, but from my point of view, if the car doesn't look too out of place on our roads here in Sydney or anywhere else in Australia, then it wins a tick from me. But overall, I think the styling is pretty good, and it certainly doesn't look too different from the other cars in this segment, including, you know, well-known brands like Toyota, Mazda, and of course some of the new entrants too, like BYD and MG as well. So let's have a look at the light signature here across the front, and then some more lights down here too. And then we've got the Omoda badging across the front there. A little bit of piano black around the front of the car and also throughout as well, as I'll show you. Air intake grille down here as well. The charge port is here too, so we'll look at that very shortly. I always get a bit concerned about charge ports at the front of cars in case there's any accidents or injury. I just wonder how much damage it would do to the charger, even with a small incident. All right, ultrasonic sensors throughout, as you can see here. And then we've got Kumho Tyres, which is a Korean brand, 18-inch wheels, 215/55 99H, both front and back. Nice looking alloys as well, good design. And a bit of plastic down the bottom, which is fine across the skirting of the vehicle. And then up the top here we've got roof rails. It's quite a nice chrome finish there. This is the BX variant, so this is entry level, but the EX variant, which is the more expensive premium version, has got privacy glass for the rear windows. Now we're seeing some door handles now flush with the car body, but for the Chery Omoda E5, the door handles still stick out. A bit more traditional look there. Got a bit of a lip here at the back, makes it more aerodynamic, and then we've got some air intake here as well. A bit of a hatchback finish, and it's a lift gate as well, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so I just put the hazard lights on for you. That's what the indicator lights look like. And apparently the EX variant light signature is a bit different for indicator lights. And there it is from the front as well. Okay, so sticking with the back, we've got the rear wiper, which is good. And the Omoda badging across the back there, an E5 electric version of the Chery Omoda. Of course, there is an ICE Chery Omoda as well, so this is based off the ICE platform. Okay, so let's have a look at the boot. And by the way, the BX variant is a manual lift, whereas the EX variant is powered. Bit of a parcel shelf here, 60/40 split. We've got child seat anchors as well, and a 12-volt plug here at the back. Now, for those interested, this is a Callaway Big Bertha driver, 11 degree. It's 120 centimeters in length, so as you can see, it fits if you put it on the diagonal across the boot there, for those interested in golf bags. I do get asked that quite a bit, actually. Let's have a look down the bottom here. Now, you'll be happy to know there is a full-sized spare tire as well, just underneath the boot in the subfloor area. So there you go. Good to know for those wanting to travel long distance. Okay, let's shut this. So like I said, this is a manual lift gate, and the VIN is right there as well, you can just see. All right, let's keep walking around. This side's pretty similar to the other side, of course. It's got that fastback look. It's kind of maybe a small SUV. 4.42 meters in length. The Atto 3 is 4.45, so very similar in size. Height-wise, it's just a little bit shorter than the Atto 3 by about 3 centimeters. But in terms of driving height, pretty similar. You feel just a bit more elevated on the road, higher than a sedan, probably just a bit lower than other SUVs, just in my opinion. But otherwise, pretty good if you want a slightly higher driving position. Let's have a look at the side mirrors. So we've got blind spot monitoring there, you can just see. Let's check the door close open noise. Some argue that's a mark of quality. It sounds pretty good, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at the front storage area, which is here. Just one pull. It's a old school style lift. And there is a small little storage area down here as well. So probably deep enough to put cables. Funnily enough, this press car didn't come with any mobile charging device or V2L connector, even though I think Chery say that there is V2L capability in this car. Let's have a look at the charge port. Okay, so to activate that, push this button. and then it pops up the front there. You've got to manually pull it down. So that's what it looks like. CCS2, a couple of plugs there. Like I said, I'm a little bit concerned about having charge ports to the front of the car. Even with a minor bingle, I'd be concerned at how much damage it does to the whole mechanism. Might be a costly exercise to replace. So CCS2, DC charging speed of 80 kilowatts, which is actually a bit slower than the Atto 3 at 89 kilowatts. But the benefit is that the AC charging is 3-phase up to 9.9 kilowatts, which I tested this morning with my Tesla Gen 3 wall connector, and it worked pretty well. Single phase is 6.6 kilowatts if you have that at home. Okay, and to shut this mechanism, you've got to give it a good shut. If you don't have it exactly in the middle, then one side may not close properly, so just be careful with this closing mechanism. Make sure you either use two hands or shut it in the middle there. But otherwise, that is the walk around of the exterior of the Chery Omoda E5 BX variant. I might do a walk through of the inside now. Let's take a look. I might start with the second row. So we've got nice storage bins down here. A lot of soft materials too throughout, which is nice. The styling's actually not too bad, I've got to tell you. It's a little bit of piano black just throughout the vehicle, as I said earlier. So just be aware of that. It does scratch a bit easy with piano black materials. Same with the inside of the car. There's a few polished surfaces as well, so just be aware that may scratch over time. Otherwise, nice soft materials here. That's quite nice styling here with the chrome door handle and chrome window controls as well. So yeah, nice stitching throughout. And the inside looks like this. There is a mix of vinyl, I guess, or synthetic leather and fabric too. Whereas I think the EX variant is all synthetic leather. Isofix anchors throughout, 60-40 split like I said earlier. Armrest with a cup holders in the middle, which is nice. And then removable headrest too. And good view out the back with a parcel shelf if needed. One thing I will say is that there is no lighting at the back here, which is one concern. It can get a bit dark. The EX variants do come with a sunroof as well, powered sunroof, which is nice. Nice sporty seats with look-through on both sides and storage as well. So quite a good package in the back here, and flat floor too, which is lovely, even though this is based off an ICE platform, so they know what EV owners want in a car. Let's have a look inside. Let's have a seat. So we've got USB-A and USB-C plugs here, which I've just put some charging cables here for the kids to make it more comfortable for them as I've been driving around this week. Single air conditioning vent. Heated seats for the EX variant, for the outboard seats for the second row, but not so much for the BX variant. And that's what it looks like from the back of the car. Quite a nice view out the front there. I assume these spare buttons are for the heated seats in the EX variant. All right, let's hop inside the front row now. And by the way, before I forget, Sony sound system with 6 speakers for the BX variant and 8 speakers for the EX variant. Let's have a look at the passenger seat. So in the BX variant, which is the entry-level one, which is what this car is, it's all manual controls for seat adjustments. You can have the back of the seat adjusted that way, and also sliding forward and back. The driver's seat can be pumped up and down. I don't think it's possible here in the passenger seat. It is powered in the EX variant, powered controls for both passenger and driver's seat. There's a glove box as well, pretty standard. And interestingly enough, the USB-A and USB-C cables are present here on the passenger side. Could be a artifact of the left-hand drive Chinese cars where it's closer to the driver on the left-hand side. But to be honest with you, I guess because it's a wireless charging pad here for the driver, it makes more sense actually to have it on the passenger side because they may need it more than you do. And I guess once you plug it in, you may not need to touch it anymore. So it is wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and also wired if needed as well. You can see the data port there for the USB-A and then charging for USB-C. And then there's a bit of storage down here, which is great, and also non-slip material, which is great for things you want to store in there and won't slip around over time. I don't think it's heated seats for the BX variant, but the EX variant does come with heated seats as well as heated steering wheel. And just like the back of the car, the passenger side also has got quite a nice finish and good storage down here as well. Bottle storage as well as extra storage here. And like I said, Sony 6-speaker sound system, 6 versus 8, depending on the different variants of the car, BX versus EX. Nice soft materials as well across the front. You can see that polished surface here. That, I do get concerned about polished surfaces in cars. A bit of piano black here too. It looks great, I must say, but prone to scratching, of course. That's quite a nice trim there. Overall, I think the interior looks better than the MG4 found the MG4 interior quite lacking, even though it's quite a good car overall. And certainly more traditional and more classic looking than the BYD Atto 3, which some don't enjoy because it is a little bit out there, a little bit funky compared to a car like this, which has got more traditional, more classic looking interior. Whew, am I glad the exterior walkthrough is done. It's getting quite chilly up here on the rooftop. Actually, one more thing, I've got to go out. One more thing to show you is the seats here. So you can see there the driver's seat, you can pump it up and down. But apart from that, it's very similar to the passenger side with the back support and also the slide on the rails there. And we've got Omoda E5 badging there for the floor mats and just usual pedals. And then on the driver's side here, we've got side mirror controls, lock unlock, window controls, and also child lock as well. And the same nice styling on the driver's side door too. Okay, and then over here we've got the charge port button. I showed you that earlier. And then lights as well. So we've got daytime running lights and then normal lights and automatic, which I'll put it back on for now. Then I've done the walkthrough. Oh, you can just turn it off in general, but I'll put it back on auto for now. Okay, now I can hop inside. Whew. Okay, so we've got Omoda badging here at the front of the steering wheel, and then we've got cruise control with Autosteer controls there. That's quite standard, and same with leading car follow distance. And then on the right side, you've got controls here for the infotainment screen, as well as volume control too, and voice activated controls. And then around the steering column, we've got driver monitoring, like a lot of modern cars these days. Right-sided gear shift stalk, including a park button press on the right here. And then on the left side, you've got indicators on the left, auto wipers for the front, and then wiper controls for the back as well, and auto high beam if needed. And just letting you know too that with this car, there's no on-off button, which is great. Some of the EVs that have been based off ICE platforms have a vestige or a remnant on-off engine start-stop button, but I'm glad to see there's no such button in this car. So when you exit the vehicle and lock the car, it just turns off by itself, which is great. And when you sit in the car, it just turns on too, which is good. Manual steering column control there. And we've got dual 12.3-inch infotainment and instrument cluster screen as well behind the steering wheel, and both are very high resolution, I've got to say, more so than the BYD Atto 3 and Seal. I've got to be honest with you, it's a very good quality, and it's in landscape. It looks very much like the GWM Aura and also the EGMP cars, like the Kias and the Hyundais and the Genesis, where it sort of sits like just above the dash like that. Take it or leave it, that's what it looks like. Some would prefer it to be integrated with the dash, but it's fine, it's very subjective. This one sort of sits above it. On the right side, you've got brightness controls for the screens and also volume controls on the right if you want. You can also adjust volume up and down here on the steering column too. Air conditioning vents there, a bit more of that polished material here across the front. More air conditioning vents here, manual control for open and close, and there as well on the left-hand side. We'll go through the infotainment screen very shortly, but what we'll do first is go through the storage areas. Like I said, wireless charging pad, couple of drink holders down here, and privacy screen, which you can shut like that, which is really handy. A bit more polished material there. Actually feels quite nice, to be honest with you. And then we've got some manual buttons here. So AC button, driving mode. You can turn the screen off if you don't want to see it. Just the middle screen there if you don't want that distraction. So, you know, Chery have thought of everything here. And then we've got the hazard lights there. And then the misters front and back. So quick controls there if you want it, otherwise everything else is on the screen. And then you've got another little storage down here, which is quite handy for storing car keys and I don't know, other things as well down here. Little privacy screen there. And then, just move my stuff here. There's a button here to open the center armrest cubby. I'm not sure what this is. This might be a fan maybe. Could be a fan. I could put more stuff down here with more anti-slip material too, which is good. And then down here, that storage I showed you through on the passenger side goes right through to that side. And there's a 12-volt plug here too, which is quite handy. And then further up here, past the rear view mirror, you've got cabin lights, which you can turn on. You can't turn them on individually. They're not buttons to press. I assume these buttons here are for the sunshade in the EX variant, not present in the BX variant. Again, no lighting up the back there. Could be quite dark without it in undercover areas. And same with this, I assume that's for the sunshade in the EX variant. And then you've got this huge visor mirror, look at that, wow. And then you can change the color as well. So a bit more sort of a warm white versus a cool white there. I think similarly with this one too, let's have a look. Yep, so same thing for the passenger side. cool versus warm white. Important for some. And a bit more detail down up here as well on the dash. That's I think that is the sound system, the Sony sound system. All right, so that's pretty much a walkthrough of the interior. Let's go through the infotainment system. We'll do the drive cluster screen first. So let's go through that. Again, the speedometer is on the left, and a few more gauges down here too. So we've got blind spot monitoring, lane departure, which I turned off. I don't like having it on, to be honest with you, in these cars. And then lane centering as well for driving on the freeway and on roads. Driver monitoring, which you can turn off. I'll go through that in the infotainment screen. And then drive modes, which you can switch with this button here. So if I press that, watch, go to sport.
Sport mode.
Ooh. Eco.
Eco mode.
Normal.
Normal mode.
Normal mode, because I'm a normal person, I like to think. Speed sign recognition, which you can turn on and off. And then seatbelt, usual. Light control, time, gear shift, temperature. And then this trip computer, which I'm not too happy with, I've got to say. You've got trip A, trip B, and then the navigation, which you can hold full screen, and then it'll go across the drive cluster screen like that, which is pretty cool. Reminds me of some more high-end brands like Audi, I know, and Mercedes. I've got this as well. So that's quite nice to have. Now, I'll tell you why I'm not happy with the trip computer, which is not confined to Chery. Some other brands also, I'm not happy with their trip computer. Like BYD is also not great. And by the way, you've also got tire monitoring as well. Because trip A, sure, you think, oh good, it's got the fuel consumption there, or the energy consumption. But it always starts with about 15-ish. It doesn't continue onto your next drive. So every driver resets back to 0, which is frustrating for someone like me who's trying to find out the true efficiency of the vehicle, right? So ideally, I would like this to always be continuous, or even have a since charging, like they have for the EGMP cars, like since charging, so you know the efficiency of this drive since you last charged the vehicle. This resets every time you drive. That's kind of pointless. I want it to be a continuous function. So Chery, just some feedback for you guys. Make sure you have a setting where you allow it to continually monitor the drive efficiency, just for nerds like me who want to know the stats of the vehicle, right? So just a small little bit of gripe there. Trip B, I don't know how useful this is. Sure, this has got continuous monitoring for amount driven. It gives you the average speed as well, but also good to have a efficiency counter too. So just a bit of a gripe there. All right, what else can we do in this area? So that's it. So they're the three things. So trip computer and map, and also the tire monitoring as well. And then when you're driving, there you go. And there's also drive visualizations, which we'll go through in the drive. And just be aware of this this stalk. You've really got to, I found that I've got to be very careful with shifting gears, because at times I've misshifted, and I feel like for example, going from reverse to drive or vice versa, and hasn't actually shifted. So something about the sensitivity of the stalk there, which I've got to be careful of when I'm driving. Anyone else with a Chery found that too? Let me know in the comments too. I'll just put it on park for a second. And this is the regenerative braking gauge. So unfortunately, it always goes back to 1, which is the lightest regen setting. You've actually got to go through all the menus to get to 3, which is the highest. There's no one pedal driving. To be honest with you, the regen braking is not the best I've seen. It's still quite harsh. It's not very well blended with your driving style, so it's quite jerky, even on level 3. So I'm actually happy to have it on 1, because, to be honest with you, the regen braking is not fluid or smooth enough for my liking, just on normal driving. That's the odometer, of course. And then on this side, you've got the battery state of charge and the estimated range, which you can have on WLTP, or you can have it on dynamic range. So I have it on dynamic, and it reflects your driving style and the efficiency you're doing at the moment. So 65%, it's a more accurate figure of 259 kilometers for the amount left in the car. Okay, let's go through the infotainment screen. So there you go, it's connecting to my Apple CarPlay, and then I just have it on Waze usually. And I'll use TuneIn to go through my radio stations. I don't usually use the car's system, because all my settings are here already on Apple CarPlay. And just one more note too down here, you've got a vent for the wireless charging area, which is really good because sometimes the phones can overheat when they're charging down here. All right, so that's a really good feature. And just a note too, when you've got Waze up and your wireless charging, it doesn't actually keep up with the amount of energy that Waze uses. Just a small point. I've noticed that not just with this car, but with my BYD Seal as well. So let's go through the infotainment screen of the car itself. And to be honest with you, like I said, it's quite a high-res screen, fairly responsive too, which is quite impressive. So this is the car settings screen. So you can change the drive modes there, Eco, Normal, Sport, which I showed you before on this, using this button here. But you can also do the same thing on the screen there. So you can lock and unlock the car and keep the windows locked as well from here. Vehicle settings, so we've got steering, force mode, arming reminder, which can actually get quite noisy. So I'm going to put light because the speakers are quite chirpy. Automatic lock, main driver unlocked alone if you want that. Phone wireless charging, forget phone reminder, steering wheel button customization. So that's for this favorite button here. You can change that if you want. Audio source switching, rear mirror adjustment or vehicle settings. That's quite handy. Maintenance tips, maintenance mileage setting, drive mode memory. It's important. Wiper sensitivity as well. Smart key setting, near to unlock, far to lock, welcome light. Driver assistance, so all the stuff you can switch on and off if you want, if you find it too annoying, and it does stay off as well, which is good. This is quite interesting, this braking feel linked to driving mode and also brake pitch control. So that's if you come to a slower stop, non-emergency stop, it minimizes the suspension pitch and impact at the point of stopping. So I guess it depends on how harsh you want to push the brake for the coming to a stop. The car will make that decision for you. So lighting settings, you can adjust the headlight height depending on how much load you have in the back. And then vehicle comfort, you can adjust the mirrors from this screen here using these buttons here on the steering column. By the way, these buttons are more responsive than the Volvo EX30 I found, which had a few issues with that, with the controls there. So well done to Chery for getting that right. Oh, back on the driver assistance too, there's more safety settings. So blind spot detection assist, rear collision warning, emergency lane keeping assist, door opening warning, lane departure intervention warning, front collision warning, emergency brake assist. So you can, it's very granular. You can customize this to your heart's content depending on what annoys you when you're driving or whether you want these on for safety. So it's totally up to you. That's been quite good from that point of view, being able to customize it to how you want to drive the car. Okay, let's go through the rest of the screen. So navigation looks like that. Unfortunately, it's not EV trip planning, so I'll show you what I mean. So Melbourne Airport, let's go there right now here from Sydney. It'll calculate the route for you like any good navigation system.
Starting navigation.
However, it won't actually tell you where to charge. So that, there needs to be EV trip planning for these cars. Got to be honest with you, particularly with people so worried about range anxiety. They need to know where to stop. Okay, so audio, new energy. I'll just go through new energy settings. So it's pretty basic. This probably needs to be expanded a bit because you've only got this, which is great if you want to set the charging limit for your charging session, minimum 30%. But it doesn't actually have a scheduler, nor does it have a stop button either. So you've got to rely on the, your external third-party charger to stop a charge. There's no way to stop the charge from the car, which is a bit concerning. It's an LFP battery, so you can charge to 100% each time, no problem. Discharge settings, I assume it's for V2L. I haven't got the adapter to test for you guys. And then energy recovery level, like I said, there's 3 levels for driving, so low, medium, high. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So I'll just zoom out a bit here. So low, medium, high. And like I said, it actually doesn't retain the setting for you drive to drive, so that needs to be looked at. I don't know about software updates. There's no software update screen here, so I don't know whether Chery offers over-the-air updates or not. So like I said, cruise distance can be WLTC, or should be WLTP really, right? Cruise range or dynamic cruise range. And then electronic lock with lock-in function, tow mode, battery temperature protection, that's good. Please turn on this function if the external temp exceeds 40 degrees or goes below minus 15 degrees. Insert charging gun to maintain temperature and keep an eye on the power consumption. Okay, well I suppose that's good to have. Extreme energy saving mode. I'll limit your maximum speed, power AC and other comfort functions. I'm good for now. So So that's new energy settings, and then local settings. Got more basic controls here. So Bluetooth, sound control. You can change the indicator noise, so that's what it sounds like. Trendy. There's also, I think silence is probably the least annoying. There's also low speed pedestrian warning sound as well, which may change with these as well. You can adjust the volume for each one too. So indicator noise comes under alarm. You want it really soft. You can have it really obnoxiously loud, which is really annoying. I think that's probably a good compromise, I think. What's that? Voice assist, yep, okay. And yep, sound source localization for the voice activation, and then display, I have it on auto. Light setting is there as well if you want that. Clean the screen, reset. System, software versions there, so I guess there's potential for software updates, I suppose. Meter, power consumption, gauge tire pressure unit, and then date and time settings there as well. Okay, so that's that for device. Let's see if there's anything else I can show you guys here. Vehicle settings we've gone through, phone picture video, yep, scene mode. Ooh, invigorating mode. Let's see what that is. Invigorating mode. I'm not quite sure what that is. I mean, the AC is blowing a bit harder, so maybe that's just like sitting in the car mode, perhaps. Anyone else with a Chery, let me know what that is. Go through the AC in a second. Oh yeah, invigorating mode can be customized. Okay, so we've got here refreshing stage, air conditioning on. So is that just with aircon on with the car idle, perhaps? Let's turn off invigorating mode. Let's go camp mode. So here we go. Camp mode's probably more what we know about. So we've got battery state of charge has to be greater than 20%. Side windows off, aircon auto air, internal circulation. So I assume the daytime running lights will be off as well at the same time with camp mode. Okay, let's turn that off for a sec. Okay, so that's the scenes. Now you can actually swipe up, even if you're on Apple CarPlay, for example, right? If you've got, say, Waze running, you can actually swipe up like this to access quick controls for AC. And then you can sync the controls there, adjust the climate, adjust the fan, have it on auto, or put the AC on, adjust the vents, or you just turn it off in general. And then you can have settings as well for the HVAC, cabin ventilation, cabin cleaning, custom aircon, eco mode, or strong. So that's that. And you can also do quick shortcuts too, like this. So Bluetooth charge port on and off, charge port open close, auto hold, which does stay on, by the way, when you're driving. I'm just letting you know. And then parking sensors on and off, other things like that. So yeah, that's quite good to have, and then it disappears if you don't use it after a while. All right, so let's have a look at some of the key specs of the Chery Omoda E5. It's starting at $42,990 here in Australia, MSRP for the BX variant, and then $45,990, $3,000 more for the E5 variant. So 7-year unlimited warranty for the vehicle, 8-year unlimited warranty for the battery powertrain, 430 kilometers WLTP range for both cars. Both cars are 61.1 kilowatt hour nominal capacity. Like I said, 9.9 kilowatts AC max, 3-phase charging, and 80 kilowatts DC fast charging. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, acceleration time of 7.6 seconds for both variants, and power of 150 kilowatts and 340 newton meters of torque. Length 4.4 meters and 1.588 meters in height. Just comparing it to the BYD Atto 3, which I promised I would do. The entry level for the E5, which is the BX variant, which is the one I'm sitting in, at $42,990 is still cheaper than the standard range BYD Atto 3 with a smaller battery. It's definitely cheaper than the extended range with a similar sized battery. The Chery has a better warranty, 7 years versus 6 years for BYD Atto 3. And the battery warranty is the same, so 8 years for both, although it's 160,000 kilometer capped range for the battery warranty for BYD Atto 3. So interestingly, I'm learning that the Chery uses a blade battery as well, same as the BYD, so that's good. Both, of course, being LFP, lithium iron phosphate chemistry. As I said earlier, the BYD Atto 3 is 3 centimeters longer than the Chery Omoda E5, and the Atto 3 is also 3 centimeters taller than the Omoda E5. Alright, so that's a run through of the specs on paper and also just a quick walk around and walk through of the interior and exterior of the car. I've got to say it's a pretty compelling purchase compared to the Atto 3. It's cheaper and it's got the same, if not some better features than the Atto 3. For example, the interior looks pretty good, more classic design. Infotainment screen is higher resolution and the cluster screen is bigger as well. And the only thing I guess the Atto 3 may have over this is the software updates. It's been proven that BYD give out software updates at least once every few months. Chery, I don't know what's going to happen there with OTAs, but I guess time will tell whether they do or not. And also, the warranty is better as well, and the servicing schedule is capped for the Chery too. So pretty close in specs, and pretty close as well in terms of build finish. I guess only one more thing left to do is to go for a drive and to make sure it can charge at a Tesla Supercharger. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, one more thing I want to show you is the camera. So let's put this car into reverse. Okay, so you see the camera is also pretty high res there. These parking lines are quite helpful. When you put it back into drive though, it does disappear. Okay, so whereas BYD, I think there's a front camera, which the Chery does not have. The 360 camera only pops up in the EX variant, so you can see there the sensors are still present, but there's no 360-degree top view camera for the baseline BX variant. Okay, so here are the Tesla Supercharger, V4 here in Chatswood. Interesting, it says co-founded by New South Wales government, that's good to know. Plug into the front of the car, and I can confirm that it is working there, so that's good to know. Compatible with V3, V4 Tesla Superchargers. And then shows you the power, 46.3 kilowatts, which is kind of expected for a state of charge, 67%, and then time remaining to get to 100% as well. So that is good to know, it's compatible. Alright everyone, welcome to the test drive. So what we're going to do is just take you through some urban roads. I've got a bit of a winding road as well for you to experience with me. The Common Parkway, for those of you who know Sydney, up in the north. Just do a bit of handling around those tight curves, and then we'll do a bit of highway driving as well, just to show you what it's like on the open road. And here in the drive cluster screen, it's pretty good. You can just see some visualizations of the cars around me, which we'll have a better look at once we get on the highway, of course. You don't see the oncoming cars, it's just the cars in the same direction as myself at the moment. And then if you want to have the map, you can as well. So very shortly, let me show you. There you go, that's the map, full screen map ahead of me, which is quite handy to have. You still have the other telemetry as well here with the speedometer and then the drive mode and state of charge, all that's still there, so that's quite handy. You can turn those beeps and boops off if you want. That's the change of speed limit, posted speed sign. Every time that happens, you hear the little beep, which you can, I think, adjust the volume of as well. So watch this. There you go, went to 60 and it beeped again. You can. I just wish you could have. You can have the, the monitoring of the speed signs without the beep. I think you can turn the volume down. That'd be probably an ideal situation. I don't really want to have the beeps and the boops on every single time. Alright, so I think just from my driving this week, the suspension is a little bit on the firm side. It's not like really rough like the current generation Tesla Model Y, but I think it's a little bit firmer than the, say for example, BYD Atto 3. That's a little bit smoother. It's certainly not floaty by any means, but because it's firmer, I guess you can argue it's a bit sportier in nature. So it's a bit of a two-edged sword in that regard. Okay, so just turn right here at Ryde Road, I think it's called, and then turn left onto Yanko Road through the Common Parkway, and that'll be a good handling test. So stick around. Alright, we'll zip out of this traffic light. Not too fast, it is a speed camera. Turn left here. Okay, and then we'll duck into Yanko Road down the Common Parkway. It should be a nice
nice little handling test here. Of course, abiding by the speed limit at all times with these test drives. Don't want to get into trouble, right? But still, zippy enough, I think. Now, some people don't like the fact that it's a left-hand indicator for a right-hand drive car. To be honest with you, I'm not too fussed. It's just takes probably half a day to get used to between cars for me. But I do understand if you're a creature of habit, you know, your right-hand drive car, you must have a right-hand stalk indicate. So that could be one drawback for those of you choosing this, or the Atto 3. I think the Atto 3 is right stalk indicate. So apart from that, and also the vestige of the USB ports on the left-hand side of the car, it's not too bad. It's been nicely adapted over to right-hand drive country like ours here in Australia. I like the fact that it's a flat floor up the back as well. Flat floor, despite it being an adaptation of the ICE platform of the Omoda 5. Is it Omoda or Omoda? I don't know. It's like Omega or Omega. What do you decide? How do you pronounce it? It's really up to you, isn't it? I kind of want to say Omoda 5, Omoda E5. Omoda sounds a bit posh. Omoda E5, Omoda E5. I don't know. Okay, so now we're getting to the windier sections of the Common Road Parkway. I don't know how fast I can really go with this line of cars ahead of me, but we'll do our best. At least we won't be speeding, right? It's something. But on this drive you can get a good idea of the suspension, I guess, and how it handles. It's a front-wheel drive car, so when you accelerate out of a curve, you will get a bit of torque steering. It is a bit torquey with all front-wheel drive cars, of course. The only one exception I've come to find so far that hasn't been too bad is the Hyundai Kona. They've got this torque vectoring tech, which is pretty good. So it reduces the amount of torque steering. Otherwise, most front-wheel drive cars, the BYD Atto 3 included, is quite torquey when it comes to accelerating out of a curve. So the road here isn't too bad, so you won't feel the suspension as much. It's pretty good. If we come across any potholes, you'll find out pretty quickly. So with the telemetry here on the screen, you can see whether it's using regenerative braking or whether it's using the battery. So you can see that minus 10% power when we're going downhill. And then when we accelerate a bit uphill, it's we're using 33% of the power. And downhill again, it's regenning. It's quite a nice metric. I haven't been able to work out whether you can change that to more of a graphic rather than pure numbers. I know some of you prefer numbers, some of you prefer like a graphic indication. Let's put it back to visualization mode there so you can see the cars ahead. See some of the lane markings too, right? So this is one benefit over the Atto 3. It's got a static image, whereas this is obviously using the camera up here in the housing up here to determine where the cars are in space ahead of you. So I've seen this also in the GWM Aura cars too. They've got the visualization. Whereas the Seal, my Seal doesn't have that currently. Neither does any other BYD car for that matter. Okay, let's slip to this lane. What do you guys think of the indicator noise? Bit beepy, bit boopy, right? Forward collision warning activated. I can already feel it being a bit torquey. Trying to accelerate. Okay, let's keep going down this hill here. A few cars here this morning. So I like to have ways on that screen there because you can see any highway patrol cars in the area. User populated, of course. It doesn't have obviously EV trip planning either. But if I can find the OBD port here in this car, which I think I can just feel it there actually. I think it's here somewhere. Or maybe further down in the car. I'll have a look later. Then you can, add ABRP or a better route planner with an OBD2 dongle or adapter reader. You can do EV trip planning that way, which I've demonstrated in the UK with the Hyundai Ioniq 5. So that's one way to get around cars without any EV trip planning if you really need that. But that really should be it's a must-have for all EVs. Honestly, I'm hoping that trend will change in the future where EVs, or at least serious EVs, will have EV trip planning as our EV infrastructure improves, EV charging infrastructure improves. So having your hands in the 9 and 3 position is okay. It's got the steering column here. And by the way, the steering wheel, the EX variant, I think is leatherette, whereas this is I think this is synthetic. You can definitely feel it. It's a bit cheaper material, but I guess it's a bit more hard wearing, right, compared to say leatherette. Okay, well I think that's pretty much the curvy sections. I didn't really get a chance to go a little bit quicker than I wanted to because the cars are a bit slower, but you get an idea of the handling and the suspension just with the very brief drive that I've done. But let's go ahead and head on to the M2 motorway, and then we can do a bit of highway driving there and test that in action, so stay tuned. Alright, so we're on Pennant Hills Road now. Let's do that quick acceleration test at the traffic light. Whoa, a little bit of skidding there, but not bad. Nice traffic light beater, beat most of the cars here on the road, so that's a nice bit of torque is good in the city. You need it, but you felt that bit of skidding there. Alright, let's head on to the M2, shouldn't be too far away. Okay, we are close to the M2 motorway, so this should be good. Do a bit of highway driving for you guys. We'll probably activate the cruise control as well, just to see how good the lane keeping and lane centering function is in this car, as well as check out the suspension as well. Alright, scoot across to the right lane. Once we get onto the main part of the highway, I can put on cruise. Let's do it right now, in fact. There we go. Easy, one button push. What happens when we merge? Right. Okay, so the cruise control stays on, which is good. Now we can adjust how close we want the car ahead, so that's good. I like this because, as you know, those who watch my channel regularly, I get confused. Sometimes the graphics aren't very clear as to whether it's closer or further away, but this is nice. This is very clear for me. This is decreasing the distance. And the driver monitoring is telling me that I've been distracted. Bad me, bad me. Okay, so you can see there's a bit of a discrepancy in the telemetry here, 100 kph on there and then 96 on the way, so which one do you believe, right? So we know these cars are calibrated usually a bit slower, just I guess to reduce the risk of getting a fine or just for safety reasons. Okay, so let's try and put, okay, so the lane keeping's not on. I must have switched it off in the background there. That's alright, but look, you can probably oh no, here we go, now it's on. So maybe it's just not the right conditions. Oh no, it's just lane keeping, it's not auto steer. Okay, so I thought it was auto steer as well. Do I maybe push it? Ah, okay, now I've got to push. So if I'm pushing it, okay, so I'm pushing it. Okay, now it's activated. There we go. So I had to actually hold on to the A button. Now it's on auto steer and lane keeping and cruise control. So all three. So let's see. Now it's moving the steering wheel for me. I'm just guiding it, but like just in case. Okay. can see the visualizations there, right? It's quite handy to have. That night mode is very responsive. I like that. Not all cars are as responsive, by the way. It's super quick. Very nice. I'm liking this car more and more as time goes on. And then what happens when we go back to day? Okay, that's a bit of a delay. Maybe because, oh no, okay. Yeah, that could have been quicker, but certainly going into night mode was much quicker than I've seen previously. Okay, let's flick into the right lane. Let's see the auto steer component turned off. Then what happens now? Yeah, probably within a second, the auto steer component will come back on, which is nice. It does tend to want to hug the left side, doesn't it? I'm not super confident, I've got to say. It's not right in the middle. Let's see what happens when we take this right curve here. Okay, that's not too bad. Still, just wavering a little bit. Not the worst I've seen. I'm just going to have my hands down here. So you can see that I'm not really intervening. Okay, I'm just going to up the gas a little bit because someone's tailing me now. Okay, so now I'm back in this middle lane. Okay, and then it's still wavering a bit. You see the car and the visualization there. That's cool. See what happens with the left curve. You see the guy moving in too, right? Merging into my lane. Please take over the wheel. Okay. It's not very accurate, right? It says that the car is across two lanes, but it's not. It's clearly not. Okay, so it's now to the right of the lane, which is okay. It's the most efficient line anyway. Does it zip back out to the middle? Oh, it does. Okay, just taking the racing line there. Hilarious. Alright, well, you saw that test. I mean, look, I think you probably still want to supervise this technology, this level 2 autonomy with lane keeping assist, auto steer and cruise control. Probably handy to have cruise control on the highway, of course, like anything. Okay, so summary of this car. So, the Chery Omoda E5 BX variant. The EX has got quite a few inclusions, more cosmetic than anything else. Both variants have got 61 kilowatt hour, arguably 60 kilowatt hour usable battery, 430 odd kilometers of driving range, WLTP 15 to 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers of efficiency, front wheel drive vehicle, BYD blade battery, which is good, LFP, lithium iron phosphate. What else? Pretty, it's not out there in terms of looks. I know looks are very subjective, but this wouldn't look out of place really in Sydney or Melbourne, Brisbane, in terms of how it looks from the outside. It's kind of a fastback, mid-size, small to mid-sized SUV. Tech's pretty good actually overall on the inside, I've got to say. Very high resolution screens. Relatively easy to maneuver and navigate the UX. There's a couple of things that probably could be improved in terms of the software, particularly when it comes to charging. I think there should be a stop button and a scheduler as well. Apple CarPlay wireless and Android Auto wireless is very handy to have. A lot of customizable safety features, which is good. No EV trip planning, that's one downside. Interior looks good, classic kind of finish, pretty good solid finish even in the base variant. Nice soft finishes, good storage. Lighting could be improved in the base variant, but I know there's a sunshade in the EX variant. But overall, I think it's a pretty good, compelling package and a very nice alternative to the BYD Atto 3, particularly because it's cheaper. It's cheaper than the standard range BYD Atto 3, which has a smaller battery pack, and it's definitely cheaper than the extended range, which is a very comparable battery pack and range. So guys, I think if you want an alternative to BYD Atto 3, which the interior some people don't like, I know, then I think the Chery Omoda E5 is a surprising package, I gotta say. It's very surprising. It's not actually what I was expecting, to be honest with you. So I'm surprised by how good a package it is for the price that it's asking for. So very competitive and definitely worth consideration as an alternative to the BYD Atto 3. And not too far off the MG4 in terms of pricing either. Although it's had a price drop, hasn't it, the MG4, the base variant. So probably for the Essence MG4, then it's pretty comparable. Okay, well that's my review and walkthrough of the Chery Omoda E5 or Omoda E5 BX entry-level variant. So leave your comments below what you guys think of it, if you've ever test driven it, what you think of the styling, the tech, the performance, the battery, all that stuff. Leave that below. Tell me if you agree with me or not. See if there's been anything I've missed so far in my walkthrough. I'd love to hear from you as always. We learn from each other. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Otherwise, stay safe. Until next time, happy charging.